Hello and welcome. My name is Caroline and today I am answering prompt 10 of the 31 Days of Tarot 2021 challenge. And the question for today is about the 79th card in tarot decks. So more precisely, Ethony asked if you could design a 79th tarot card that everyone would use, what would it look like and what would it represent? So I do not have the ambition to design a tarot card myself, but I do have a number of tarot decks in my collection that have more than 8 cards. Some of them have an additional card that is alternative version of a card that is already in the deck. For example, in the Clover tarot you have 2 lovers cards, and I'm not showing them now because there is a lot of nudity in this deck, and especially the alternative lover card is very sexual in nature, so I don't want to be banned from Facebook for showing nudity. But in this deck you can either keep the 2 lovers cards inside the deck because you can read them differently. The illustration on the card is so different that your intuition will lead you in a different direction depending on which version of the lover you get in your reading. So that's one example of a deck having more than 78 cards. I also have a number of decks where the artist offers a completely new card that has nothing to do with the existing majors or minors, and I also have one deck that have more than 90 cards because there is an extra suit, so that's a completely different matter. But as far as 79th card go, I usually keep them in the deck myself for reading. I usually keep the extra card in the deck, and sometimes it shows up in the reading and then I read it with my intuition. And tarot artists have come up with many different ideas for this 79th card, but there are a few that I really like and I'm going to show them today. So first of all, a very famous example of the 79th card is the Happy Squirrel. The Happy Squirrel card comes from a famous Simpson episode where Lisa goes to a psychic and has her cards read, and she first drew the death card and then she drew the Happy Squirrel card. So it's a fun episode, and if you have not seen it, I encourage you to go and search for it. Anyway, after this episode of The Simpsons aired, several tarot artists indeed designed a Happy Squirrel card as a nod to The Simpsons. And here we have one in the Touchstone Tarot by Cat Black. So the Happy Squirrel card that you can interpret as you wish. So this is a fun little one and beautiful too. This deck is gorgeous. Then one that I really like is the Memento Mori in the 2nd edition of the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. And this Memento Mori, I really like this card, and perhaps if I had to include a 79th card in every deck, perhaps it would be a Memento Mori, because the Memento Mori symbol is really full of symbolic meanings, so I think you could really get a lot from it. Then there is one I really like, and I think it's my favorite of all the 79th card that I have. It is Prudence from the second edition of the Tarot of Prague. If I'm not mistaken, each edition of the Tarot of Prague by Baba Studio has a different version of the 79th card. This Prudence is my favorite. I believe that if I had to include the same 79th card in every tarot deck, it would be this one, it would be Prudence. Because first of all, it is absolutely beautiful, it's full of meaning, and a very interesting card to read, I think. And also because Prudence is one of the 4 cardinal virtues, and we already have the other 3 in the Tarot Majors. So strength is one virtue, temperance is another virtue, justice, and the 4th is prudence. But the 4th cardinal virtue does not appear in traditional Tarot Majors. So in this second edition of the Tarot of Prague, it has been included as the 79th card, and I love it, and I think if I had to include one in all tarot cards, it would be this one. So I would not design it myself, but a card named Prudence would be welcome, I think, in the tarot majors. But also, I have to say that even though I love my 79th cards in all my decks, and I usually include the 79th card in my readings, even though I like it, I also love the tarot structure a lot as it is. I really like the structure of the 78th card with the 22 major, where 21 are trumps, and the other one, the Fool, is like an extra card that is outside the circle of the majors. And I suits with the courts, and I think the structure is pretty perfect as it is, so I would not necessarily include a 79th card as a rule. What I'm trying to say is I love it when artists include a 79th card, and I use it when they do. I use the 79th card, but I also like that it's not a rule. I also like that the tarot system has 78 cards, and that a deck is complete with only 78 cards. So I would not make it a rule to have a 79th card. I don't know if I'm clear, but I'm trying to explain why I love the 79th card, but I wouldn't like for every deck to have a 79th card. I like it when it's a bonus, if that makes sense. And I also want to talk about the old tradition of including a blank card. So this is a Marseille deck. The name is Tarot Coudpiéocculte Divagatoire, and I'm not going to try and translate that into English because it's a game on words, and it's pretty difficult to translate. But there is, in this deck, there is a blank card that has the same backing, and it was an old tradition in older playing card decks and tarot decks to include one or more blank cards, and I really like this tradition, and I wish that publishers today would come back to it, because you can either use it in readings. You can include a blank card in a reading, and of course it will have a meaning if you draw this blank card in your reading. But also, and it starts from a very practical reason, that if you lose or damage one card from your deck, you can use this blank card, and if you are a good artist, you can try and draw the card on the blank draws a missing card on the blank card. But at the very least, you can write the name of the lost card, so your deck is complete again and you can still use it. So this was very common in the past. Deck publishers, Marseille deck makers, and old playing cards makers would include a blank card or two or sometimes three with the same backing as the rest of the deck, and so it would just make your deck last longer. If you lose a card, you can still use your deck because you can replace the card in a way. So I wish that more modern publishers would do that, because I really like this tradition. It's like the blank rune in a set of runes, that if you lose one, you can carve the lost rune symbol on the blank rune, and then you have a new set altogether. So your set is not ruined because you lost a rune, and same for the cards. So that was my take on the question of the 79th card, and I apologize if it was going a little bit all over the place, but I think it was a good subject to discuss. And I also want to mention that I am not doing these prompts in order, and I am not doing one prompt a day. I don't have time to film and edit and publish a video every day with my job and all, but I'm having a lot of fun with these prompts, and thank you, Ethony, for giving us this challenge every year. It's really fun and I like it. So thank you very much, and bye bye.